In this tutorial, we'll look at creating our own corporate style and storing it for reuse. We'll start with a very basic epics file, which contains a simple skyscraper. In our original model, we defined three material types. The first is the sky. The second is the ground. And finally, the skyscraper itself. What we're going to do is create a new style library, which we'll just call 01 Test, into which we'll store some standard brushes and fills. To paint our sky, we're going to create and use a multiple raster brush. Select raster from our brush type, and then we need to set up the multiple brushes. To get the effect I want, I'm going to cycle through 3 different brushes as I paint. I'm going to load in a marker stroke as the brush style from the brush library that comes with Piranesi. I'm going to use the same brush at 3 different scales. So I'll copy the name for speed. I want the marker strokes to be very large, so let's up the scale. To load brush 2, I can just paste my marker name, and this time I'm creating a larger brush with an offset hook point to stagger the brush locations. There we go. The third is the same again, this time in a mid-size with a different offset. You can see the preview of my brush size as I move to select a colour. A nice soft blue. I don't want it solid, so I'll bring down the opacity. Allow the colours to overlay and build. I'm selecting splatter as I'm going to use it to fill the entire sky space. As we're going to reuse this brush, we want to restrict it only to painting a material we've predefined as sky. So in our lock settings, we'll select it from our list and limit it to that material type. You can see that the material lock is now turned on for our brush. Here. When we click on the sky material, you can see how the splatter spreads the paint marks all across our selected material. Splatter will continue until you press escape. Now I only want a small amount of blue, so I'll stop it quickly. We'll save this as a style, which we'll just call 01 Sky. And there it is in our style library. For the next style, we want to lock our painting to the ground, so a quick shortcut is to change the existing settings, open up the lock settings again, and choose the ground material type we've already defined. We need to pick a nice earthy colour as well, and we're going to apply a grain effect to it to give it some texture. We'll select it from our drop-down list. I want the grain to be quite small, so I'm going to reduce the scale a bit. We need to create our final fill style, this time a tiled raster image of windows for the skyscraper. For speed, again, we'll use the ground fill as a template and swap out the ground material for the skyscraper on our materials list. We need to pick our raster image for the skyscraper, so in our color and texture options, we'll check texture from the drop-down list and pick from the drop-down options. Switch to building facades, and I'm picking a window tile suitable for a skyscraper. When I first apply it, you can see that the fill is only wrapped or bent around the building shape. I'll switch to auto wrapped and reduce the scale a little, and now when I reapply, the window's tiled properly. So now we just need to save this style as well. We'll call it 03 skyscraper, and it'll be saved to our style library for reuse. By setting up standard paint styles that we can reuse, we'll save time when converting our models to impressions. But for additional time saving, we can add them all together as a multi-fill, which with one click will apply all the fills we've created. So I select multi-fill from my category list, pick the folder from where I've created my 3 fills to combine, and check the Leave Last Style Selected option as I want to apply all my fills in sequence. And in my Style Manager, I want to save these fill settings as a multi-fill style that I just call Test Multi-Fill. So, back to our unpainted original image, and now when I select the Test Multi-Fill style, I click once and the multi-fill will apply in sequence. If we restart with a new ePix file, where again I've allocated sky, ground and skyscraper materials within my model, my multi-fill will paint just the relevant parts of the image. So now let's look at a more real-world application. Here I've got 4 images of the same development, so in each case the materials are defined and are consistent across all 4 images. I've created a multi-fill called House Style, which I'll select and apply to each image in turn. As the multi-fill builds, you'll see all the paint effects in sequence. I've set the multi-fill to paint a details box at the bottom of my image, and my tool defaults to a multi-stamp, allowing me to put my logo and drawing information panel on each drawing. As I reapply the multi-fill across all 4 of these images, you can see I can get from unpainted epics to fully painted artist's impressions for each image in a matter of seconds, all sharing a consistent illustration style, each painted completely with a single click. If any amendments were required from my model, creating a new set of illustrations from the newly exported ePix files would be just as quick, and the illustration style would be identical to my previous submitted artist impressions. Using multi-fills in this way, you can define a single corporate style which you apply to all your illustrations, or, as is more likely, you can define individual styles for each client, or even each development to mirror a marketing positioning, and just store the multi-fill under their names. Once stored, your style is available for reuse on future projects. Thanks for watching our tutorial on creating multi-fills. For more tutorials, please visit our website at www.piranesi.co.uk.